Welcome to the Tim Castle Show, where I sit down with courageous individuals doing inspirational things around the world. Whether it's AI, crypto, mindset, leadership, negotiation and sales, I've got you covered. I sit at that nexus of disruption and change. I'm loving every second of this. I really do believe this is the most abundant time that we've lived in. And if we harness what's going on correctly, we can build businesses that are going to transform our future and your lives. So come with me on this journey, meet the people. I pull back the curtain, I find out who they really are. I started off building this podcast for my sons as something they could look back on later in life and see the conversations that their dad had with people that he respected and admired, but most of all, get the lessons. And now I'm sharing those lessons with you and the reasons that people have done things, the ambition, the passion, and the hardship and their vulnerabilities. And I actually really enjoy it. This is one of the most special times as I get to sit down with people that I really would love to chat to and ask them the questions that are burning in my mind. If you are the same as me and you're pushing the limits and the edges of what you do, please like and subscribe to the show. It helps me tremendously to get new guests on the show and expand that reach so we can help more people together. All right, today on the Tim Castle Show, I am joined by someone who truly embodies courage, purpose, and transformation. Cindy Sirinya Bishop. Cindy is a Thai actress, advocate, and entrepreneur with 30 years in media and entertainment. She's used her platform to challenge the norms, to spark real conversations, and champion women's empowerment and gender equality across Asia. Now, you might know her as host of Asia's Next Top Model, but now she's leading a far bigger movement as CEO and co-founder of Dragonfly 360, which I had the special privilege, thank you so much, Cindy, for attending this year. It's Asia's largest transformational summit, and boy, was it amazing. So welcome to the show, Cindy. We are totally in awe of you and what you've been managing to do. I really have been looking forward to this conversation, and I know it's going to change some lives.
Oh, thank you. What a lovely introduction. Thank you for being at the summit as well and for your presence and sharing your books with our audience. Really glad to hear you enjoyed it.
No, it's the least I could do. It was amazing, and I brought my two kids. And just to be, and the topic, and we'll get into it, was flow this year, and it really did flow. Like, you did an amazing job with the operational organization of that, and just the experience. You could feel it. If you were in that room, and it was a big room, there was thousands of people there, but it just flowed.
Thank you for that. It was a year in planning, and it ended up being beyond our expectations. So kudos to the team and kudos to everyone who worked behind the scenes on that.
No, you could really tell that was the intention was there, and it was really well planned. All the little details were taken care of. So with that, it brings me to kind of the macro. I want to understand, what was the turning point in your life or career when you decided to combine your public platforms with activism in a more structured way, for example, like Dragonfly 360?
I mean, I would say probably when I started my campaign against sexual assault called Don't Tell Me How to Dress. That was in 2018. It was the first time I publicly came out and used my platform to speak on an issue that, that not a lot of people in Asia, as celebrities, definitely shy away from. And that was talking about, sexual assault. And I think I did it in a way that really woke a lot of people up, or it kind of was like, wait, what's going on? Because I spoke out I was so angry that there was basically, the long story short, there was a kind of official line from the government for women not to wear spaghetti straps leading up to the Songkran festival, where we would have water fights, if anybody who is used to this festive New Year, it's the Thai New Year, we have lots of water fights in the streets. Unfortunately, add alcohol and some unruly behavior leads to some unsavory actions. But the government's line was, you guys don't wear skimpy clothes and you'll be safe. And I was just like, so I took to my social media and I just kind of vented my frustration, and I added the hashtag, don't tell me how to dress, tell men to respect. It blew up. It led to a whole, region-wide movement in which I quickly backed it up with some real, like, I ended up doing a exhibition of clothing worn by survivors at the time of the assault. I teamed up with UN Women. It led to a whole thing. I think that was probably the catalyst that sparked me going in a slightly, not a different trajectory, but a larger purpose, I guess. Up until that point, I was an actress, I was a model, I was an MC, I was reading scripts that other people wrote for me. I was, reciting the words of a fictional character. I never really used my voice. And so that really kind of sparked this whole realization that, wow, okay, I've spent, this was almost 30 years now in the industry. I've built up a platform. People look up to me. I have people listening to what I say. And so I chose to use that in a way that was going to create some impact. And then that just kind of led to me doing many other things. I've gone on to write a children's book on body autonomy, consent, respect. I'm now doing another project for menstrual health called Period Power. That's more the advocacy side. And then Dragonfly also came from that wanting to see real change and impact, and empowering others to do the same. I think that really comes down to, everybody wants to, for lack of sounding cliche, to live in a better world. And let's do something about it. It starts from us. Yeah.
No, it's really important. I think, yeah, because you in 1996 won Miss Thailand World pageant, right?
Yeah.
And you were on, well, you were hosting Asia's Next Top Model. You've been a judge on Britain's Next Top Model. Model, actress, films. You've been doing all of that, and instead of, well, you used your influence when you saw something that wasn't effective or wasn't correct, and you stood up for it. And then you went on to become a UN World Regional Ambassador, and you led with purpose, right? You led with purpose, and you took it to the floor. And I think there's a lot there that people can really connect to. Like, if it's everywhere, right? If you see something that isn't correct at work, and yet you
Yep.
stand up for it, you're almost complicit. It's like this, you can do it on any scale using your influence to set change and make impact.
You can. I hesitate to expect everyone to do that, though. I mean, I believe everybody has a time and a place and a moment in time where they are ready for it. You don't necessarily have to go out and lead a movement or start a whole campaign. I feel like that there's an incubation period until you're ready to, or you have the skills, or you have the experience, or you actually have the passion or purpose, right? Sometimes impact doesn't have to be in the form of social issues. Impact can just literally be being present and communicating and just being a decent human being as well. Like, don't overlook the fact of just basic human kindness and respect, right? Sometimes we try to skip over and, you got to come out and do this and do that. It really comes down to basics as well, the day to day. Being a good parent, that's like the hardest job in the world. Let's focus on that as well.
No, that's really cool. That's really cool. Don't put pressure on yourself to think that everything has to be a gigantic movement, else it hasn't
Exactly.
had an effect. Yeah. So what do you think was the biggest obstacle you faced early on, and how did you push through when that happened?
I think it's biggest obstacle I still face probably is believe it or not, imposter syndrome and lack of self-esteem.
What?
And I say this because it always gets such a big reaction out of people, but it's true. Like, it's and I do workshops in this, and I try to share with other people how I become confident. And it's not something that you solve one and done, and it's a daily practice. And confidence is goes ups and downs, like when you're not well, physically ill, you don't feel like doing anything. Like, you're just depleted, or if you're really stressed about something else, it's really hard to kind of muster that courage and belief in yourself. I tend to be a perfectionist in many things. I tend to wait until everything's perfect before I start, because I'm afraid of what people think. I mean, I'm not ashamed to admit it. This is something that I know I have to really stay on top of. And it comes down to taking care of myself. It comes down to, being proactive in feeding myself, the stuff that we tell our kids, like good input and things like that. It gets easier though, the more you have successes, the more you're able to show, hey, I've really done this. It's coming from a place, like you said, of purpose. I feel more and more now, less of a need to prove myself to anyone. Like I'm just gonna do it because I know it. This is what I need to do.
You were like on
Yeah.
stage talking to like 2,000 people, right? Are you saying that you would prepare your mental state by making sure you had enough sleep in the run up to that, or
Oh yeah,
was that sort of
for
you
sure. I mean,
prepare for that type of event? Yeah.
100%. It's like a sport. It really is. It's speaking on stage is it's a whole body experience. It's not just the words coming out of your mouth. Presence. I talk about cultivating stage presence. It's not just performing for people. It's how do you step on stage with purpose and use your voice in a way that is able to serve, right? You're not just the MC. In Dragonfly, I was also the host and the founder. It's slightly different. But even when um I'm hired to be an MC, I really try to embody like what is it? What am I there for? What is the intention? Like you do your audience a disservice if you're just reading from the script, just the words. Like there's a palpable exchange of energy when someone's really there, really in it. It works for the stage and it works for the meeting room. It works for just normal dinner conversations as well. So back to your question about preparing for those big events, though, definitely getting a good night's sleep, practicing, understanding the what it is that I'm doing, and then just letting it flow because
Right.
I've had my share of spectacular failures. In fact, my first ever public speaking engagement, I was 17. I had to do a product presentation and I memorized everything. I spent all night, practicing my lines. I went on stage and I delivered the first two lines perfectly. And then my mind went completely blank. And I don't know how long I stood there, but basically the next thing I did was I ran off stage
Oh,
crying.
man. Okay.
It was
Okay.
it was bad. Like, and I tell this story because here I am now, host of Asia's Next Top Model and speaking to global audiences.
Sure.
How the heck did I even get back on my stage? I don't remember, but something within me was like, this is not gonna be how I end this career. So something I'm also very stubborn and I need
Mm.
to like overcome. And you just don't let your failures define you. Let it fuel you. But yeah.
Today, I want to share something that's incredibly close to my heart. It's this book here in my hands. It's The First Domino. I wrote this to help you expand into new markets, to make the most of your first 90 days. Whether it's a new role that you've started, whether it's a new team that you've taken on, or your company has launched a new product or service, or you're just a founder and you really haven't landed that first major client yet. Imagine this, you're starting a new job and you're sitting down and you're opening up your computer and you've got 43 new Slack messages, a ton of new emails and content that you've got to learn. The pressure's on. Not only that, but you've got to go out and you've got to meet all these new people, these new staff members, these new clients. But most of all, you've got to add value. And whether you acknowledge it or not, you know the pressure is on. You know that this time is precious and that this company has brought you on for a reason. And you're there to prove that reason. That's one of the reasons I wrote this book. It's something that you can read on the weekend and implement on Monday to guide that process so that you can systematize the process of excelling and bring those trusted relationships forward and move the needle on landing your first major client. This book is going to push you to do anything but be comfortable. It's going to help you get breakthroughs. If we tip that first domino, we're going to get a chain reaction of success. That's why I wrote it. It's a playbook to understand the psychology of sales, the intelligence that you need to build leverage into your sales process. And it's for anyone that wants to do business development, growth, or just build their personal brand and take ownership of the direction of their career, their money, and their life. When you land that first domino, that first major client, I want you to post it up and tag me. If you are bold enough to take on the challenge, to really put it into action, to lead with heart, I promise you, you will change your stars. So if you're looking to create a generational legacy and make an impact, this is the first domino, and it only takes one. I like that piece about letting go. I think and not trying to necessarily be perfect. What is the purpose of not, like I've heard it said, or when I've been speaking, it's trying not to make the focus be you, almost like you said, like trying to dig into that. What are you here for in terms of that, embodying that intention, like so that it isn't all eyes on you necessarily. It's that message, that movement.
Yeah. Because I mean, at the end of the day, you think of when you listen to someone speaking, and if it's very much me, 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 this is what I do, that you're like, okay, even though they're amazing, and even though the things that they're telling you are great, I connect so much more with the speaker that's like, oh my God, I'm so nervous, but or they fumble a little
Yeah.
bit, or there's that genuine banter, they're going off script. That's something that people genuinely cherish. And if you remember that and you go up and you fumble a little bit, or for first time speakers, you go off script and you can even just say, oh my God, guys, I'm so nervous. Oh my God, it breaks down all of this facade, and people really connect with you. And I think being vulnerable and authentic goes a long way when you're on stage. I mean, don't run off script.
Well, I was going to
Run
say, do you think
crying.
if
That's a
you
bit too
hadn't ran
vulnerable.
off stage, like would
No,
you
don't do
say,
that.
you'd say, tell people, hey, actually, my mind's gone blank. Give me a second, guys. Like, I'm going to
Yes.
get this. Just wait. Let's count to 5. Like, I'm going to, if you'd have done that instead of ran off, would it have
Yeah.
been better?
Yeah. I had no experience. I had no prior planning at all. But yeah, it
But
was
how cool is
a good
that then? You
story.
can go from that experience to being host of Asia's Next Top Model and in movies and having cameras pointed at you left, right, and center and being a celeb. And so it's possible for anyone, right? That journey arc is huge. So people, because my motto is believe it's possible, by the way. That's why I'm focusing on the possibility there, because I just love
Yeah.
stories like this.
Yeah, no, for sure. I don't remember. I yeah, I think that the overriding my fear was I need to be able to do this. And eventually I found myself back on a stage in some capacity. I think it was after that I actually did the pageant. And so that kind of ended up. Then I got proper coaching and some more confidence there. But yeah.
Such discipline. So this year's theme at Dragonfly was all about flow. How would you describe Dragonfly's core mission and purpose?
Dragonfly, our mission is leading well, right? And so we want to create this platform or ecosystem where we transform leadership. So we really want to combine this idea of leadership in the corporate sense with well-being, with the mind that leading well incorporates body, mind, soul, emotional, community, and purpose. And so we wanted to really create this space for transformation, a safe space, but in a big way.
Mm,
And I think we were able to do that because people trusted us to take them on this journey through many modalities. I mean, if you were there, our main stage, we had the likes of Snow Raven with
right.
her Arctic wisdom, to Mogodat, who's very much like, okay, AI and how we humans are going to adapt to, Major taking us on this sound frequency journey. It was such a journey of all the different parts of us that make us human. Hope, and our intention was to touch you wherever. Not everyone's going to love everybody, but come and show up and listen with an open mind and curious heart, and see, you might learn something new or take away a new perspective, or at the very least, look in awe at the person squawking next to you. But that's okay. Like, yeah, and so that's kind of where we wanted to create this ecosystem of change makers, healers,
Mm.
leaders, because we're all kind of in the same boat, right? Mm.
It did. It felt so authentic. I mean, I taking two young boys and kids to the conference as well as my wife was just a magical experience. And obviously they throw themselves into everything. They had the cryotherapy on their neck, and then he was doing the Pilates machine, and like we went around everything probably like 6 times because they just thought it was amazing. And I think living here in Singapore and seeing a lot of big conferences be done at Marina Bay Sands, and sometimes the authenticity is lost when it's that big. But yet Dragonfly 360 is big, and yet it feels small and intimate, and you feel so connected in the sense of like heart, I would say. It's in the heart and soul. And yeah, Mo coming on stage and then improvising a speech, going, "Hey, I'm going to drop what I was going to talk about."
Exactly. Because I saw him right before, and I was a bit I haven't told anybody this, but um I've seen some of his talks lately, and he can go quite dark into the whole AI, and I was afraid it was going to be a little bit off balance. I actually just had a bit of I was like, hey, just making sure, we end on a hopeful note. And his was like, oh, okay. Um, and I'm glad I did that because it ended up being right with the flow. And then towards the end, people were asking all the questions for AI anyway. So I feel like we covered everything. But yeah, it was very much a curated moment.
You
But
had to
he
flow
nailed it.
in the flow of
Yeah,
doing
yeah.
Dragonfly 360. Yeah. No, I
Yeah.
think that really encapsulates it. And yeah, kudos to you all because yeah, you had some big name speakers, Gabrielle Bernstein. Like it was just the the bee's knees. Like I really, really enjoyed it. And everybody, even the food vendors outside, like everyone was super passionate about what they were individually doing and how that was going to change the world. It was marvelous.
Yeah.
So, switching gears slightly, in your view, what is the issue around gender equality like, why is that under discussed in Southeast Asia?
So my focus has always been gender-based violence. We have a very high number of violence against women and girls still in Asia Pacific. And then just globally, there's still the statistic still stands of 1 in 3 women have been affected either by physical, sexual, or psychological damage. Um,
That,
I
now, for
think
context, that's pretty high, isn't that's
by UN women, yeah, yeah, it's very high. And again, violence is not just physical. We have sexual violence, we have digital violence. Right now, there's a huge rise of digital violence. So online hate and basically targeted attacks via social media. Um, I think in Asia specifically, though, it comes down to this taboo of teaching children about comprehensive sexuality education and gender equality from a young age. I really do feel it comes down from the lack of education and conversation. Um, as a mother, I know that, kids they're ready to learn, they're asking all these things. And if you're not giving them the age appropriate, and I say age appropriate because I'm not
Mm,
championing teaching children all about sex. There's age appropriate information that we need to be giving them, but doing it in a in a responsible way, in a respectful way, and in the safe way. Because if they don't get their information from us, they're gonna go ask their friends or access the internet, and that is a heck of a lot scarier. And in Thailand and Asia specifically, parents are they shy away from it. They think, oh, we'll just leave it for the schools to teach them. That doesn't work either because the education that they're getting, I mean, depends on the school, right? So international schools will have, the standard from the UK or America that's different, but the public schools,
mm,
they'll get the bare minimum when it comes to biology. But what about, consent or respect,
mm,
or what is a happy, healthy relationship? How do boys express emotions in a way that's not, just using violence? The acceptance of boys crying or showing weakness or vulnerability, like, or women or girls, it's just the whole gamut of issues that end up in a society where unfortunately women and girls are still considered inferior to men. It's still a very patriarchal society in Asia. And so for me, I see that the best way to kind of curb that is to empower parents, teachers, anybody who is in the position where we can teach our young children, hopefully that, but then that needs to be combined with policy and government support and the society at large too. So it's pretty complicated. Right now we have the added challenge that a lot of the funding for women's programs have now been cut, also stemming from the situation in the US. And there's a big backlash now against women's rights advocates. We're like almost going in the opposite direction. It's really turning back a lot of the progress we've been making. Boys are feeling left behind in many ways. And so how do we keep the conversation going in a way that's truly equal, gender equal, and at the end of the day, keep our girls safe?
Right. It seems very multifaceted and almost like with the dawn of this new era, or at least with the digitization and the internet and all of it's almost like a conversation that can't be swept under the rug anymore. Like it's nothing, you've got to prepare your kids to be able to understand, like you said, age appropriately, but what things could be, because that's the only way you can take control of it versus what they're going to get from someone else or on the internet is going to be much more dangerous.
It's very scary. And it depends on each household too, how much access they have to the internet. I mean, even just the things they see on social media, access to porn is a
Mhm.
huge issue because I mean, how that's not reflection of what a real relationship should be. They're getting all these different ideas of what's right and what's not and what's expected. It's a slippery slope. And I just think we really need to, I mean, we are entering a time of unbelievable change. Like a human race has never gone through such rapid change. And literally in the next 3 years, 5 years, what did Mo say? It's it's almost going to be unrecognizable. I don't know. I'm as a mother, there's a part of me that's like, oh my God, what's going to happen? But I refuse to give into the fear of the unknown because there's no way to really plan for it. I love what Mo Godat said on our stage though, was at the end of the day, it comes down to love and human connection. I think that's the only hope we have is how are we, taking care of each other and the empathy and compassion as humans. Yeah,
Yeah, that was really
pretty
beautiful.
scary.
So you were born and raised in Thailand then, and you were born, like, so you're in Thailand, your kids are in Thailand, you're growing up there. Like, are there differences like for say here in Singapore where we are, like, are there differences within the Southeast Asian countries, or like what's different about Thailand? Or
In gender equality?
yeah, would you say that Thailand specifically has its own issues, or is it linked?
Oh
Is
yeah,
Southeast Asia going through this all
every
together?
country has every country has its own issues, and just Southeast Asia as well. There's, you've got your Malaysia, Indonesia, that it's more Muslim
Right.
country. Thailand has, we legalized same-sex marriages. Like, so for there's
It's
although the
completely
physical proximity, the mindset and the acceptance of multi-gender, fluid, all this is much more accepted here. However, domestic violence, I think we're top 10 in the world.
oh wow.
So there's
Okay.
a lot of really contrasting things that's happening. It's not always what you see on the outside as well. Um, yeah, it's very multifaceted, as you said.
Mhm,
I
mhm.
mean, even sex. We're a very conservative society, yet you come to Thailand and we have also the unfortunately, there's the other completely different side of it. And how do we reconcile that, you know?
Mm.
Uh, so I think it's not fair to just paint a brush over every country and just be like it's the same. Every country has their own challenges, their own set of values, their culture and traditions, which is that can be the most challenging when it comes to creating change. Is how do we keep our beautiful culture and traditions, but then change the things that are damaging or dangerous. So yeah,
That's really
lots
well
to.
put. No, really well
Yeah.
put, I think, because it is a complex issue. So then thinking about you as a leader, like when do you feel vulnerable and how do you deal with that vulnerability, whether you're in front of a team, in front of a camera, in front of the public, like what's your strategy or how do you approach that?
I feel, when do I feel vulnerable? I mean, I will almost say that it's okay to be vulnerable, to show vulnerability, to show authenticity as a leader. Um, we're not supposed to always have all the answers. I think the best leaders are the ones that surround themselves with people who can fill in the gaps or perhaps know more than you, and come together with a solution. I do think though, as a leader, you need to have done your homework. Like, so for me, I take great pride in being prepared for whatever it is, for the meeting or the interview, or just when I'm not prepared or I haven't done my homework, I'm not intentional. I'm not at my best. And then I don't like that because that's something that isn't just from a place of vulnerability. It's because you haven't done the work. That's not okay in my book.
But I'm just going to jot that down because that's so be intentional. This is so basically by being intentional and doing the work, you can be prepared, which then boosts confidence. You earn the confidence because of your level of preparation, which is different to just showing up, rocking up, and trying to wing something and then feeling vulnerable because they're two different, completely different things.
Right.
How when you're truly vulnerable, say, does it help with connection in front of a team or with the public? What's the line between personal vulnerability and like sharing too much, sharing not too much? Like
Yeah.
where do you see that?
I think it depends on the circumstance. I think it really, there's a time and a place where you can show vulnerability. Um, you know, and Dragonfly, I shared a part of myself to 3,000 people because I felt that that was a safe enough space and people were already of the same mindset and I felt the ability to share. And I did it in a very, I wasn't that, I went back and listened to it and I was like, I could have said this, I could have done better. And everyone's like, oh my God, it was like my favorite part of the thing. And I was like, oh. Um, and then there are moments where you need to kind of have a little bit more of a line
Mm,
because you do want to show that you are in command, you are in control. There are people looking to you for guidance, to
mhm.
you for inspiration, and if you fall apart, that's not very useful in that situation. Not that I have always been the strongest all the time, my team has seen me like freak out. But I'll usually back it up, or even parents. I think this is for me, leadership for me is most starts in the home. And my kids have seen me, you know, really lose it on multiple occasions. But coming back and explaining to them what was happening, what I wasn't proud of in that moment, apologizing if it was directed at them, and then kind of moving forward from that in a constructive way is very important. Like everyone's human. You're going to have moments where you lose it or break down or whatever, but make sure you back it up with leadership afterwards. So,
Cindy, that's really, really important. Yeah, because I think people can hear the idea of vulnerability and connection. And if you're more vulnerable, you get connected. But as the leader, there needs to be some form of either like reconciliation if you've gone off and exploded or
Yeah.
not been your best self, or at the same time just a self boundary, because you don't want people could listen to that and think I'm just going to go out and be really vulnerable and tell all my fears and do all of this stuff, and it actually people need guidance as well, and that's the leadership part.
Yeah.
Really, really helpful, I think, to just explain that as well with kids as well, because that's part of my mission as well, is just you see that you're creating these little humans and they are little mirrors of you, and they're going to copy how you go about the world in stressful situations. Like, how do you manage fear or failure or setbacks, like especially when the expectations are really high?
I've gotten a lot better at failure. I realize that failure is a necessary step and in growing. Um, so I mean, even with the kids, we started talking about, oh, what did you fail at today? Or how did you overcome that? Like, I don't want it to be something that is a negative. It doesn't feel great all the time, but it is necessary. And I think it's just a learning opportunity. It's either a learning opportunity or it's a signal that this is not your path. So I've tried to,
Mm,
the challenge now is to differentiate between the two. It's like, okay, do I keep going down this path? I failed. Either I up my skill level or I learn something from it, do something differently and continue down this path. Or am I not meant to go down this path? And that's something you're going to have to figure out for yourself. Sometimes failure happens because it's a sign from the powers that be that it wasn't meant to be. And accepting that can be very liberating. And
mhm.
just being like, all right, well, we'll see.
Yeah, there could be almost a momentum to it if you have that discernment and you're able to think about what's not meant to be, and then what's actually just a lesson to grow and to try in a different way and to keep going, and having that discernment
Mhm.
keeps your energy high, and knowing, yeah, that you've got this in the right direction. It's all directional, right? It's all directional. So if we expand this conversation out and we think that we are building a brand, because a lot of the topics out there right now are all about personal brand, especially with AI and the way it's going to disrupt the world, and personal brand becomes really important. Do you think that influencers and celebrities, they have a moral obligation or a responsibility to speak up for social issues? And if so, why or why not do you concur?
I think it depends on the celebrity. Really this idea that every celebrity has to take a stance on every social issue, you know, I don't expect that. Um, I've been on the receiving end of how come you didn't do a post about this, this, and this, or you posted about this, how come this isn't important enough? I'm very strategic in what I post and how I use my voice, because when I do it, I'm very intentional about it. It's not performative. And
Mm.
so this constant need for celebrities to step out and take action and da da da, not everyone's going to be intentional about it. And I'd much rather have, the influencer or celebrity actually feel something and back it up with real action than just doing something just to say that I've done it. So, yeah, it's this cancel culture and also the very vocal, polarizing views it just kind of takes away from the actual work sometimes. And so, no, I don't feel that every celebrity should be tasked with making their opinions known on every social issue. However, that being said, you know, you do have a platform. And should the moment arise when it did for me, and it's something that really sparks something in you, go for it. You have the ability to impact so many lives. But again, only do it when you're ready.
Okay, yeah, I'm seeing a big theme here, Cindy. Like, intentionality is really important, whether it's speaking out on issue, like finding the moment, but also showing up and being present. What do you think if you could go back and talk to your younger self, say in your 20s, what would you tell her?
Stop caring so much about what other people think and stop trying to fit in. My whole life, I've been longing to be accepted. I don't look like the country I was born in. I don't look like the nationality I have on my passport and what I always introduce myself as Thai. I don't look like the country I represented on the world stage. I've always wanted to be accepted, but I've always kind of been that outsider. And now looking back, that's my strength. I was never meant to fit in. I was always meant to be, somebody different. And so I think I would have, not in my 20, I would have gone back even more like my 12-year-old self and be like, be that weirdo. You were very weird. Stay weird, and that's okay. And don't be so worried about trying to fit in. But yeah, I've managed to reconcile that part of me.
That's so cool. So you're writing children's books on consent and helping kids. Is one of them going to be called Don't Fit In? Like, is that the next step?
I know. I actually have an idea for another one. That's one of my other projects. No, the one I wrote on consent, it was very just kind of straightforward in different scenarios and teaching. It was more of a tool for Thai parents specifically to talk to their children in a way that's very non-threatening, very safe, very secure, because we had no books in Thailand at that time. In
Mhm.
2020 was when it came out. There were no books written with the Thai cultural sensitivities about talking to your kids about consent. And so that's why I was able to bring kind of my understanding of the culture and also the understanding of the importance of talking about these things into this book. But yeah, no, I've got some other ideas
No, that's really cool. And
to
really
come.
cool, really cool that you highlight the fact that you want to embrace being the odd one out. So you started diving age 5, is that right? You were a diver and then
Oh yeah, well my father was a pioneer of the scuba diving industry in Thailand. In 1970, he opened the first dive school.
no way.
And back then there was no real, age limit for diving. He was very much a maverick, and he took me. I didn't dive up independently until I was 7. That's when he made a little tank for me, and I was actually diving with him at age 7. And then I finally got my certification at 12. But yeah, I grew up very much um, under like in the underwater world. So
Right.
that
And
was my sense of adventure and you know imagination. I was an only child. Didn't have many friends. I would spend a lot of time playing, making up scenarios, writing, drawing, fictional characters, lots of imaginary friends. So it
I
served
love,
me well in my entertainment industry.
I can imagine, yeah, that improv and then the the kind of full circle piece going, okay, now you've achieved all of these different things and you have a platform, you have influence, and now you're telling your younger self to go back and not care what other people think, almost to embrace the weirdo, embrace the
Yeah.
scuba diving, embrace all the different parts of you and love yourself in that way. I love this
Yep.
because there's so many entrepreneurs and founders and people stuck in careers that they don't want to be in, and yet they have that dream inside them. Listening right now, Cindy, and just hearing you speak and explain your journey and just that message of embrace the weird. I love it. I love it because it will have touched their hearts.
I told that to my kids. So I've got a 15-year-old daughter and a 13-year-old son. And the kids this age, they just want to fit in. They just want to be accepted. And I recognize that, and I don't I understand that, but I'll always try to be like, you don't want to be like everyone else. have that little bit of, what is it that sets you apart? Embrace your weirdness and be unique. Don't be, yeah. So hopefully it's coming through a little bit.
How do you, because obviously you're someone that's out there conquering the world, and like you've been very helpful on the show today, explaining that you still work at confidence and you still go out there and there's imposter syndrome and stuff. What about children with imposter syndrome? Maybe they haven't had the experience of failure, but they have that imposter syndrome, or they feel worried about something. What would your advice be to parents to help a child that's not feeling so up for life?
I think the first thing is to not disregard their feelings. I think that's I mean, and I have to remind myself is like, oh, don't feel like that. You don't think like that. They're feeling it. And no matter how much you want to shake them and be like, that's irrational, um, they need to feel heard. And I think that's something that I am learning as I go, and also just kind of tapping into how I would have liked my parents at the time to listen to me is, okay, you're feeling this way. What are some of the things that we can do to help you feel more confident? Or even if it's as simple as just writing down what it is that's bothering you and kind of pinpointing the emotion usually helps them too. I mean, like what we do as adults as well, right? I think we tend to, because we're adults and we've been there, we've done that, we've lived our life. The easiest thing is to, oh, don't, you'll be fine, don't worry about it. I think from my experience, it doesn't help at all. So listen to them, be their safe space. Yeah, just making sure that they feel heard and seen. And sometimes, and this is something I understand from my kids, is they just want to see if you'll validate their emotions. They don't even want you to fix it. And you shouldn't jump in to try to fix everything as well. Like acknowledge it, see, ask them how would they change and let them figure it out. Goes a heck of a long way than, here, let me take care of it. This is what you need to do. But this is easier said than done. Like my husband and I literally have this conversation every day. And it's like, Byron. And he'll be like, oh, okay, okay. Like we have to constantly check ourselves or help, because it's such a natural tendency to just, here, let me do this for you, or let me fix it for you, I know better. Yeah.
Right, so not
Especially with teenagers.
jumping in and not fixing every single thing that's just would be easy to do, not disregarding their emotions, giving that space, okay, acknowledging where they're at. And
Yep.
okay, that is really, really helpful, because there's many, many parents listening today as well. Cindy, thank you so much for your time. Is there anything else you want to share with the audience? Any message for them?
One of the things, I get interviewed a lot, and I just wonder, people ask, like, what is it, the one thing, for me, more and more so at this stage of my life, it really comes down to gratitude. I'm really genuinely so grateful for every single day. And there's not a day goes by that I don't kind of check in and be like, wow, for whatever it is, for the kids, for the roof over our heads, the fact that we're living in a country that's safe and we are actually free to do what we want. I mean, it really, sometimes we get so caught up in trying to do all these grand things and all these plans that we have, which are great. Please go for it. But don't forget to really just kind of look back in and just say thank you. And for me, that's something that's really been serving me well. And so, yeah, just keep that up.
I think that's an amazing message to leave people with, Cindy. Like you really are a magnet. You really are a magnet and a beacon for hope. And I've seen how your words, your purpose, you're on a mission to change cultural norms. Like it's really important that people understand that this is possible for them, and you're a beacon for that. You've shown people how to do that. Thank you for taking us through how to cultivate courage, how to lead with intention, how to be vulnerable, how to stand up and embrace the truth within us, like to find that true inner self. And finally, yeah, how to be a magnet for things that we want more of, how to attract goodness into our life by being thankful for what we have. because sometimes at the depths of despair, it's really hard to understand what we've got going on that is right in front of us. Like you say, like health, roof over our heads, safe country, like these are massive things. So thank you for sharing and unpacking your journey, because you are truly someone going out who's courageous, doing inspirational things around the world. And you've really blessed us today.
Thank you so much. That was lovely. It was wonderful to speak with you, Tim. Wish you all the best in all your endeavors as well and sharing your knowledge and wisdom.
Thank you.